Remember this guy? You can blame him for most of the problems on social media. That's Jack Dorsey. He founded Twitter, sold it, and is now recounting the good old days. This time he spoke about India. He was talking about the relationship between Twitter and governments and how some governments tried to muzzle critics. Jack Dorsey says India was one of them. In fact, let me quote from what he said. It manifested in ways such as, we will shut Twitter down in India, which is a very large market for us. We will raid the homes of your employees, which they did. We will shut down your offices if you don't follow suit. And this is India, a democratic country. This is what Jack Dorsey said. Let me give you some context. Dorsey is specifically talking about the farmers' protest in India. It happened some 2 years back. He says the Indian government threatened Twitter then. Block our critics or we will shut you down. That's apparently what the government said. And how has the government responded to these claims? With a defiant rejection. Listen in to Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
Jack Dorsey was the CEO of Twitter during a very, very dubious period in Twitter's history. What he has said is an outright lie, and I have said that publicly and I'm reiterating it again. Twitter is a company that believed that it was not necessary for it to comply with Indian law. It believed that it did not have to comply with Indian law and made up its rules as it went along.
The minister also said Twitter was being used to spread misinformation, plus it was refusing to comply with Indian laws. You may remember that showdown. Twitter fought against India's IT rules for 2 years. They wanted to operate in India, but they did not want to follow the Indian law. It was only in 2022 that they accepted the rules. The government also says no one went to jail, nor was Twitter shut down. So what's the truth here? Let's look at the facts. Did the government of India ask Twitter to take down accounts? Yes, they did. What kind of accounts and how many? Around 1,200 accounts linked to Khalistan mostly. And Twitter did comply at first, but later on, they made a U-turn. They restored some accounts claiming freedom of expression. Now, do you see the problem here? Twitter decided what was permissible and what was not. Not the court, not the government of the country. Twitter decided to take that call. Now, I know Twitter is supposed to be a company, but that's not how Jack Dorsey imagined it. Let me quote from his words. I don't believe anyone should own or run Twitter. It wants to be a public good at a protocol level, not a company. So Dorsey wanted Twitter to be a public good. Well, that means following the rules. That also means holding yourself to government standards. Twitter did not do that in 2021. And now 2 years later, Dorsey alleges intimidation. He says his team was threatened. Frankly, it's a he said, she said situation. The government claims Dorsey's track record discredits him, which to an extent is true. I'll give you another example. Do you remember the 2021 Capitol riots in the US? Twitter was quick to crack down during the riots. No government request was needed. Twitter acted on its own. They deplatformed then President Donald Trump. But fun fact, the Taliban continued to be welcome on Twitter. Tells you about their double standards. My point is not about Trump really or the Taliban. It's about Twitter's myopia. When things happen in the US, they're quick to act or react. But when similar things happen elsewhere, they drag their feet. All US tech giants face this problem. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, even latest tech products like ChatGPT. Recently, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman was in India. OpenAI is the company behind ChatGPT. You know what Altman said? It's hopeless for India to create something like ChatGPT. Those were the words he used. Hopeless, he said. And it was the same with Twitter and TikTok. Someone else developed these platforms and we adopted them. Perhaps it's time to change that trend. We keep talking about our IT sector, how India can be a tech superpower and a talent hub, how the sector is expected to be worth $100 billion by 2025. It already employs around 5 million people, and yet India rarely leads the tech race. We are among the biggest markets for American tech companies, but why aren't we building our own? Is it lack of ambition? Or lack of government support or something else? Well, whatever be the reason, it calls for introspection because companies like Twitter will never serve India's interests. Their CEOs will dress up to be grilled by US senators, but they won't answer questions in India. They won't want to comply with laws in India. They would much rather fling allegations 2 years later.